So, with regenerative farming, can you talk about what it is exactly?
Sure. It really means growing everything on your farm that will sustain your animals and without any use of chemicals, pesticides, or any sprays. So, to give you an idea, like back in Poland where I was growing up, like it wasn't necessarily that we raised our cattle on 100% grass. It was very unsustainable, especially in winter time. We would supplement their diet with other things that we grew on our farm. So now a lot of people do think that regenerative means 100% grass raised and no grain, which is not true. But going back to your original question, regenerative means just sustaining your whole quote unquote production through raising everything on your own farm or sourcing it from your neighbor. You do not source from across the country where it's not really regenerative if you're trying to raise your cattle on grass, but you are sourcing the grass from California.
Well, yeah, it's so bad for the environment, all the transportation. I read the statistic from the Nature Conservancy that said that an area of arable land greater than the size of England is abandoned every year, meaning ever more rainforests or savanna need to be plowed up to replace this loss.
That's the thing about industrial farming because they will use up a certain plot of land, especially to grow soy or wheat, and they spray a lot of things on that land. Once they use that, the soil is so depleted, we're not able to grow even grass on that anymore. And regenerative farming, what farmers do, they allow the plot of land to rest. So let's say they have certain plot of land dedicated to feed their cows. So they pasture their cows, and then they have another plot of land where it's being rested and the grass is growing. So then they basically rotate their cattle from one plot to another, where that plot, even where the cows are walking, they're pooping, they're peeing on the land, that's being very regenerative. The simple fact that when they're walking on the land itself, that part alone is very regenerative for the land itself, and the microbes in the soil are flourishing in terms of producing better grass for the cows itself, versus like where you're growing, when the huge companies are growing wheat or soy, everything's dead. It's really hard to replenish all of that because that topsoil is gone. So then they're moving on to another area where they're, getting rid of forests, they're getting rid of rainforests. So
What
this
happens to that dead piece of land? Do they start developing on it, or does it eventually become farmland again?
is it turning into a parking lot or apartment complex? I have no idea. But there's many farmers who do repurchase land and then they let it rest. Then they put back the manure and they try to replenish it that way. But at the scale that the big corporations are growing things, I don't think that's going to be possible, especially with the whole vegan movement. How meat nowadays is being vilified, and I don't know if it's going to be possible to replenish all of it.
So clearly, it seems that regenerative farming is so beneficial to our health, to the land. Is there a way that you see that we could scale this up? Could McDonald's hamburgers ever be from regenerative farm livestock?
Honestly, it is less expensive to grow regenerative meat than it is to grow feedlot meat. But you get all these subsidies from government, and then you have to do things the way they want you to do them. It would definitely take the government to change things, to pay people to grow regeneratively, and that way everybody could convert and we would only have regenerative meat. It is possible. Why is it possible in other countries but not in the US? So it definitely would have to take the government to change in order to implement that across the board. So now McDonald's is pretty popular in Poland, And now my uncle is growing for McDonald's. He's growing potatoes for McDonald's. And he was given a whole schedule and a whole lot of chemicals in order to spray on his land in order to be able to sell to McDonald's. All those chemicals that came in, now there's so many people in that area that are getting cancer and other health
Wow.
issues. If you saw the people that, or my friends that I grew up with, they look probably 20 years older just by living in that area where all that stuff is being sprayed. Weight issues, other health issues. So that's another thing that we have to think about, like it's not really experiment anymore. It's not maintained in that small plot of land. When you spray that stuff, there's wind, there's a rain that washes this thing and moves it to another area. So that's another thing that we have to consider now. Like, where do we even have a plot of land where it's really clean without any chemicals whatsoever that were man-made? Because I doubt it.
So did your uncle, does he use the chemicals now?
He still uses it because he needs the money to survive, basically. So
And so you think that our health problems stem from not eating too much meat, but eating the wrong kind of meat?
correct, yes. We see that even, in a store like the lunch meat, the way the meat was processed and then the sodium was processed with that meat does have a huge difference.
What's the difference with how your body processes sodium from lunch meats versus more natural meat?
The body almost reacts in a way of like dehydrating itself versus when, let's say, you add some salt to water and then you drink that, your body will absorb that or use that in a different way. This is why at Carnivore Snacks, when we add salt, we do it slightly differently, where we do not like bake in the salt into the meat itself. If you can hunt for meat, that's probably the best way to get your meat. If you can go to some secluded places where you can hunt for some wild animals, that's going to be the most nutritious meat you can find, the most regenerative meat you can find. The second step would be if you can go to farmers market and buy meat, buy your organ meats from them, and you're going to support your local farmer. Do that. We are selling convenience. That's one of the things that we're doing.
Thank you. That's very helpful. It's so interesting to me. So I found your company on Public Square, which is a conservative business app. But here we're talking about saving the planet. That sounds more like a liberal mentality kind of. I mean, this isn't a partisan issue anymore. I think we all realize that there's a big problem here.
When I decided to go vegan, I thought I'm going to save the planet by not eating, meat. I definitely changed my way of thinking. I just want to provide the good quality meat and support the local farmers and bring the business back to US. We are outsourcing everything.
What do you think about China buying up all this farmland in America? It's been in the news lately. I think in 2020, China owned about 192,000 acres, and the number doubled by the next year. And they even bought land, I'm seeing, across the street from a US military base in North Dakota.
When I heard that, like, I got scared, like, what's behind that? Because there's always something behind it,
I also saw that China owns Smithfield Foods now, which is America's largest pork producer.
So think about that now. We need to do more in order to support our farmers that are doing the hard work by doing the right thing. So if it is by the means of, again, buying from them locally, you can always go to their farm and buy directly from them. Do that, because our only vote is through how we spend our money. We cannot stop China for buying our companies or buying our land, but we can definitely use our money to vote.
Absolutely. Vote with your wallet. So if we want to show support for clean meat and buy some carnivore snacks,
don't even support Carnivore Snacks. Just go to your go to your local farmer and buy meat from them, because we definitely get a lot of feedback from customers how expensive our product is, and it is. So it's not like our margins are so huge that we are rolling in the dough, like as they say, but we definitely we want to compensate, or the farmers, we want to compensate all of our employees. So go support your local farmer.
I love it.